Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we're taking a short trip away from Buru to a lush volcanic island of Ambelau. Now if you're looking for the rule school for the base game Buru, I've placed that link below me in the description of this video. Now this game's on Kickstarter right now, and I'm going to be doing a rule school where I'll teach you how to set up and play the game so that you don't have to read the rulebook yourself. Now I've placed timestamps below me just in case you want to jump to a specific section of the rules. Without further ado, let's get started. This expansion has 3 modules, which you can use all together, combined, or you can use them as separate modules as well. The first one is the 5th player, and it adds components for a 5th player. In this case, purple we have set up, so you can use this to introduce a 5th player to the base game if desired. I'm only going to show you what's different in the setup and playing of the expansion. Now this first one I'll begin showing is the Ukum module. You'll place this round decree cover token on top. Everything is the same except for getting 1 esteem here. We have a totem for Ukum. Now once that cover is placed, you'll then place all 4 totems there. In addition to the base game decree tokens, you're going to add the altar of Ukum to this and shuffle it in. If you're playing with the Ambelau module, which for the most robust experience, we recommend playing with both the Ukum and the Ambeleau modules, you'll take the altar of Ibu and the 2 Ambelau decrees, and you'll also mix those in with all of the base game decree tokens. Once those have all been shuffled, you'll still just take the top 10 of them and place them face down as normal. Now when setting up the Islander deck, you're going to find the Outlaw Islander cards, and you'll know this because it will have this icon in the bottom right and the dagger icon in the upper left. Now only if you're playing with both the Ambelau and the Ukum modules, you'll add in the Tyrant Outlaw Islander card. Otherwise you'll leave it in the box. Then you'll take these cards and shuffle them in with the base game Islander cards. Off the side of the board near the Sacred Lake, you'll set up the altars as normal, but if you're playing with the Ukum module, then you'll also set up that altar. You can use either side of the altar card, and you'll shuffle up its tribute cards and place them on top. And if you're playing with the Ambelau module, you'll add in the Ibu altar and its tribute cards, just as I described setting up the Ukum altar. Now with the Ambelau module, you're going to take the Ambelau board and you're going to place it right up against the main board, just in between the Sacred Lake and the village as shown here. You'll also place the Ibu totem right on the board as shown. Each player will also get a canoe, and they're going to place it right here on the Ambelau board. Now with the Ambelau module, you'll be using the back side of your player board. I only have one side of the player board here in this prototype, but they'll be denoting marker, and this is a guide. You will also get one of these when you're playing with this module, and on the back side it will look like this. You'll also see a silhouetted background of this icon on the side of the board that you'll be using for this expansion. Again, I don't have it, so it will stay just about right here. This is where it will be in the in the final components. So this is your guide. We'll talk about that later. For the Elder cards, you'll find 3 new cards with these icons in the bottom right. If you're playing with the Ambelau module, you'll shuffle the Ibu card into the base game deck. If you're playing with the Ukum module, you'll shuffle the other 2 cards into the base game deck. And of course, if you're playing with both of those modules, you'll shuffle all 3 of these cards with the base game deck. Now let's talk about how some of these mechanisms work. Now to pay tribute to the altar of Ukum, the only way to do this is to discard an Islander from your tableau. Now this represents the Islander being exiled or shunned for violation of natural law of the island, and that's showing it here. You draw one of these cards. Now you'd keep them secret as normal, but I wanted to show you the one here because Ukum is not as revered as other spirits of the island, so tribute to the spirit is worth fewer esteem than other spirits. And doing this is useful by converting islanders you may no longer need into esteem. Now let's talk about these Outlaw Islanders. Now these thieves, pirates, and rogues threaten justice and order in Buru in direct defiance of the spirit Ukum. But unlike other islanders, outlaws have no explicit utility when added to your tableau, but they have 2 functions. One is when you task an islander, you'll notice the icons here. You must discard this islander and pay tribute to Ukum. Now, you don't have to pay any other additional costs when doing so because this does it. But as you do that, you get a benefit on the right. So in this case, You would task this, pay tribute to Ukum, and you discard this specific outlaw, and you would also get 2 palm resources. Now if you're playing with both the Ukum and the Ambelau modules, the Tyrant card will be in the deck. Again, you would task this, paying tribute to Ukum, but then you would gain your guide. Now gaining your guide allows you to flip this over, meaning you'll be able to use it next round as an additional worker to place. It's only worth 1, but it does allow you to go to an additional spot. By the way, guides are only used once anytime you activate them. So in the cleanup phase, when you bring all your workers back, this will also stay here face up like this because you cannot use it in another round unless you're able to activate it again. Now let's talk about the Elder cards that were added in here. One of them will give you an esteem if you hold the Ibu totem at the end of the game. This one gives you a certain amount of points depending on the amount of Outlaw Islanders you have in front of you in your tableau. And this one gives you 1 esteem if you hold the Ukum totem at the end of the game. Now the Ambelau region is a place that you can place your explorers just like any of the other regions, and it will resolve just like the other regions do. So it's resolved in the afternoon phase, but it happens in between the village and the sacred lake, which is why this board is sort of right in between those off to the side. Now you resolve it as normal, but some of the new decrees might be for this region. In this case, the one who has the most power here, in this case, would get an Islander card. So the pink player has the most power. Now they're going to move clockwise around this board with their canoe a number of spaces up to their power of 5. And remember, whoever has the most power will also take the totem of Ibu. So this canoe is going to go 5. Now you must move clockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example. Now this canoe can move up to 5 spaces. They could have moved less than 5, but need to move at least 1 space. Now the spots here are pretty self-explanatory. Once you've played the base game, you'll know what all these are. Like this gets you a palm, a clay, and a fish. Now there is a spot that looks like this, and that's another way to get your guide for the next round. I've already showed you one way to get it. This is the other way to get that. Now let's say the board looks like this, and it's the yellow player's turn. They can move 3, but you can move less, but you have to move at least 1. So they could stop here or here. That would be 1, 2. 3 would be here, but if you can't finish your movement, you go to the next unoccupied spot, just like that. So for example, if the board looked like this, white has up to 2, they could just move 1 and stay there. Or for the second one, they'd go here, but this is occupied, so is this, and this would be their second movement. If you're ever moving past the start space, you do not count this space, so this would be 1 here. And after you're done resolving the afternoon phase in Ambeleau, you would go to the sacred lake and resolve that. Now the only way to pay tribute to the new spirit Ibu is to do it in Ambeleau and on a space that shows it like this one. Now you'll be getting those tribute cards. For example, at the end of the game, if you have these 3 cards, this means that each other Ibu card is worth a point. And since you have 3 cards, that means each of these are each gonna be worth 2 extra points. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just like the base game with the 2 new spirits, when somebody pays tribute to either of these, the player that has the totem will receive 1 esteem. Well, I hope this helped you dive right into the Ambelau expansion to Buru. Now, I've placed a link below me for the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure that Crafty Games would love your support. Also, if you have further questions about the rules, I placed a link below me for that as well. And that's the best place to ask them because not only will I be notified, but so will Crafty Games.